several exercises about the if function. So the other functions, we have sum if, count if, average if, and I think you remember how you did this. So if you have a question, maybe you ask later about this function. So the function VLOOKUP is one of the logical functions. And how does this VLOOKUP works? VLOOKUP simply means vertical lookup, vertical lookup. But this function is very useful when you want to perform or you want to refer or to search down records, referring to the leftmost column. So you're given the leftmost column, and from the leftmost column, you want to look up the data across the screen. So in most cases, if you are to search for records, normally we use the find command. You know the find command? You have your Excel worksheet. If you press Control F, up for your Excel worksheet, just press Control F, it will produce that find function. So you can use that function to find records, but they will not find across the screen. You have the software. So if you want to find across the screen, then you must use that VLOOKUP. You must use the VLOOKUP. So how do you use the VLOOKUP? We're going to check here. So we have 10 ways in which the VLOOKUP works. We're going to check the first two. How does this VLOOKUP works? So here we have data. This data concerns student scores. So I wish you can have this data in your machine. Don't even type this. So you'll come to do this one later. So just have that to, sorry. Let's have it here. So just have that data. So type the data is about subjects and scores for these subjects. Then you will discuss how this VLOOKUP works. So remember we said speed is very crucial here, the speed. I know some people are very slow here, but you have to be fast. So on a machine. Outside. It's okay now. Yes. Yes. I zoom. Okay. Let me zoom. So I'm just giving you 5 minutes to finish typing the data. You should not take all the time there typing the data. Just type very fast. You have to specify the value at the leftmost column. Then you need to specify the range or the area that is named. You can use a named range of cells. Then the column offset from the leftmost column, and then a logical statement, or in other words, you need to use either true or false. So the syntax of this function is very easy. So you just need to set up the VLOOKUP function. We'll start with our data here. So in this data, you are supposed to start with searching the scores of a particular student. By typing the name of this student, we get the score that he or she got in this. So we are supposed to look up that information. This can be either in this worksheet or in another worksheet. It will still work. That you may be referring to this worksheet and you are looking up in another worksheet. You start with this worksheet. So there are several VLOOKUP functions and several ways of running the VLOOKUP function. So we're going to check on those 10 ways of setting up the VLOOKUP. And the first one is one-way VLOOKUP, one-way VLOOKUP. So how do we run the one-way VLOOKUP? It's very easy. So here we'll say, you type this function. You don't insert the function, you type it direct. So you'll start with an equal sign. Do you have this data? You need to set this one here. You have this range of cells. So set this range of cells. You type student name. The student name will be typing. You will be typing this, but the scores is standard. Then we'll run our VLOOKUP function here. So you'll say this is equal to VLOOKUP. When you type VLOOKUP, then you realize it will give you this syntax here. And it give you that statement that the VLOOKUP will look up for values at the leftmost column. Our leftmost column is the column that has names. Then it returns the values in the same row from the column you specified. So we double click on that VLOOKUP there. So it will open those brackets. Then from there you can set up the lookup range. So what is the lookup range? The lookup range is the cell that you are referring to. The cell where you type the name of the students, which is this cell here. So you'll be looking up this cell to see what is entered there. If under the VLOOKUP, you type the cell that is I2, or you can click there I2, then you put a comma. So when you put a comma, it will specify or it will prompt you to enter the table array. So what is a table array? Here, the table array, this is the table in which you are looking up values. You are looking up values from where? You can name this range of cells. You know how to name the range of cells? I think I showed you this, that sometimes you can select cells like here, then you name these cells. You define the name. How do you define the name? You just right click there, then you select define name and you give them a name. That is a way of defining the name. But right now we can just use the range of cells, just range of cells. So you said you type VLOOKUP, then you select the VLOOKUP here. The VLOOKUP value is this cell, comma. Then the table array is the range of cells to be acted on. We are looking up the values from here to here. That is the range of cells that we are looking up for. So you select that range of cells. That is, we are looking up the values of student scores from this range of cells. So have you selected that range? So probably, I hope you are doing it. You have to be doing it. Let me see. Let me see what okay. Hey, Jana. Siweke hiyo formula. Ama tutakuacha then tunaanza kurudia. So you set the range of cells to be acted on. Mtu hajamaliza type haraka. Good. Comma, weka comma. Kwanza unaanza na the cells to look up. Siko hivi. You select this cell first, then you put a comma. Sawa? Kuna kitu umeacha. Usifute yote. So then after this, you are going to specify another thing, the column index. Okay, after the range of cells, which is supposed to be absolute. That range of cells is supposed to be absolute. So how do you make the cell absolute? I hope Abujasao here. If you press F4 on the keyboard, you set that range of cells to be absolute. Sawa? Before you proceed next, you press F4 on the keyboard and you make those cells to be absolute. Okay, sawa. What does that mean? Nilikuwa nishaelezea hapo previously. Remember that you need to make those cells being referred to by all formulas. By making them absolute, it means that they will not shift. When you copy down the formula, they will not shift. Then after this, you press comma. Then it will specify something we call column index. Column index. What is column index? Column index here refers to the number from which you want to fetch the matching value. That is from the leftmost column. The leftmost column is this, and this is index 1. Index 1, index 2, and so on. So you want to look for the values of this. So that is column index number what? Number 2. So column index, you type number 2. That is, we are looking up for this subject. So when you type 2, it will look up for this subject. If you type 3, it will look up for the next column. That is the next subject. So that is the column index. So this one will specify the cells to be to look up for. Then the next thing you need to specify is whether you are looking up the approximate match or the exact match. That is, this one we refer to it as the lookup, range lookup. The range lookup. Range lookup, here you specify whether you want the exact match or approximate match. So here we want an exact match. So you just double click exact match. If you give the word false, but that's specifying the exact match, then you close the brackets. So when you do that, you have already set up the lookup value. Yes. This is index 1, index 2. So when you type the name of a person, you are supposed to get the score of this subject. If you type 3, it will give you the score of these subjects. Are you together there? Yes. So when you press the enter key, it will give you the answer. What is the answer? What is the answer? Yes. I'm asking the answer and haujafanya kitu. So I don't have even to ask for the answer. You got the answer? That is the answer. So that is the answer. That is the answer. Connect. 16. 15. Yes. Yes. Yes, hujamaliza. Put a comma, then select exact match. Then close the brackets. Press enter now. So that answer simply means that not available. Not available. You got the answer? Oh, because you did not remove the word blood. Yes. Not available, meaning that we have not specified the name of the person's value that you want to look up for. So it will give you not available. But in your worksheet, you should never get such errors. So you need to rectify this error even before you proceed. So how do you rectify this error now? So you have to add the if function again. So here, you will double click again. Or you can do it from the formula bar. You click here, then here on the formula bar, you add an if function before the function what we look up. So you type there if error here. So that is you click. Taturudia kidogo. Nasema first you click here. When you click on this cell, on the formula bar, it will display your formula there. And you want to edit. You want to edit this formula. So you put the cursor just before the equals, after the equal sign. Then you put if. Then you select if error. If error, what should happen? If error, after the evaluation of the VLOOKUP, then you put comma at the end. If error, at the end you put a comma, you produce a blank space. If error, you enclose a blank space in quotation marks. That if error, just give a blank space, then close the brackets. Our formula will read that if error, then the VLOOKUP will compute and it will give a blank space. Yes. Let me repeat. Our formula initially was like this. It never had the if function anywhere. It was just about the VLOOKUP. And the computation of the VLOOKUP has led to this error. The reason being that we have not specified the name of the student. That is, if you type the name of the student, like Bob, it will give us the value of Bob. But when you remove this name, it will give an error. So you want to remove that error. So you modify this formula by adding what? By adding that if error function. So how do you add the function? You just type if, then you select error down here, if error down here. So the function, this if error function, will help us to remove that error. Instead of displaying the error, then it displays comma, an empty space. It displays an empty space. It displays an empty space. Then once you are done, you press enter key and it will give us a blank space. Whether we have name or not, it will not display an error. So this VLOOKUP is one-way VLOOKUP. One-way VLOOKUP that anytime you present the name here, either of these names here, then it will give you the scores, but the scores for the subject, first subject. If you change that name, you give another name, it displays the subject name or the subject. You type brand, it gives the subject score for that particular student. So that is how the VLOOKUP works. That is, it is used to look up for the leftmost column, then it gives the number, or it helps to look up the values. So let me see whether we have challenges here. Do you have any challenge? Any challenge? So those guys online, I don't know whether you have challenges. If you have challenges, you can chat there. Let me see. So remember that if this is your first day to join the class, we had some makeup classes on Monday and Tuesday morning. Kama huku join, you need to make a point of joining those early morning classes so that we can start you from the beginning, because here we have done a number of functions and we are almost getting into the advanced level of Excel. So first, you need to be very, very vast on these functions. So remember that whatever we did from the first lesson, don't forget that. Don't forget the absolute referencing. Don't forget the relative referencing, because they will be applied in all functions that you are going to run later. So that is one way, VLOOKUP, whereby you are searching a record by typing just one value. So here we type the value. The value that you type is the name of the students. In other cases, to get the score, you need to type both the subject and the name. That is two-way lookup, whereby you look up for the names and you also look up for the subjects. You can see it here. That is two-way lookup. Be careful there. Be careful. That is two-way lookup. So how do you run the two-way lookup? Here you have to introduce another function called match, the match function. That function match will help us to match the two values. So maybe let's just display here. The first VLOOKUP was like this. It was one-way VLOOKUP. It was supposed to search for records of a student. And in this VLOOKUP, we just use the normal VLOOKUP function where we have the lookup value, the table array, the column index, and the range lookup. But now the two-way VLOOKUP, you have to introduce another function called match. This function called match. How do you run the function match? So instead of putting the column index, then you put the match function. So we are here. You want to run this function. So I hope you are there. Shall type this data. I type your data. Then let's type the function. It is start again with the equal sign. Then you type VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP. You select VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP. Then after the VLOOKUP function, the lookup value first, we are going to look up for the name of the student. The name of the student. Yeah, and just we are imagining that the name of the student is not there and the subject is not given. So you type them later. So that is when you start the VLOOKUP, you select VLOOKUP, then you select the VLOOKUP value, the name of the student. Then comma, it will ask for the table array. The table array is the range of cells to be acted on. That is, we are looking up the value from here to here. That is the range lookup. It have to be absolute. That range have to be absolute. So how do you make it absolute? You just press F4 on the keyboard and you make those cells absolute. Are you around? I don't think you are around. Then the next item you're supposed to set is the column index. The column index. Now, the column index, we don't want to specify which column index we want, whether it is 1, whether it is 2, 3, 4, and 5. But the column index will represent this with the match function. So that is after this comma, you add another function. That is match. Type it, you even pop up there, match function. So you select match. So it will be matching. Okay. So the match function, you just type the word match and it will connect match. Match the lookup, match what? That is, you want to select. We'll be specifying now which subject to display the values or the scores. So under this match, it will ask you for the lookup value. So it is in this cell that you are looking up for the subject. So you select that cell. It's why we'll be looking up for the subject. So whichever the subject you put here and the name of the student, it displays the score down here. So then this followed with a comma. Then the lookup array. Where are the subjects? The subjects are in this range of cells. That is from here across the screen. That is where the subjects are. So you select the range of cells that contain the subjects. Then put a comma. It will ask you whether you want an exact match or a greater than or less than match. So you select exact match, it will give you a 0. After that, now the function match is complete. You close the bracket for the match. Then you put another comma. Remember that the VLOOKUP is not yet. The VLOOKUP is not yet because it is still asking for the column index. We have specified the column index through match. So that means if you provide a comma, then you proceed to the next level of asking whether you want an exact match or approximate match. So you select the exact match. And you close the brackets. So that is the VLOOKUP function together with the match function. When you press enter, again, it will have to give you an error. Why? Because we have not given the name of the student. We have not provided the subject. But if you do so, if you provide the name of the student, a student is Matt, then the subject is what? Let's give the subject like FA. Then it will give the score of FA for that particular student. So it is able to look up the value from the leftmost column and from this column. So I think that one is clear. Is it clear? You know, there is work to do after this. I have to give you an assignment to see whether you'll perform it. Let me see. Yes? So, okay, let me see. Why is the problem? There's something missing in your formula. Something is missing. Rectify the formula you have just entered. This formula, that two-way lookup that has match. So that in case you have no value here, either of these, or you have no value here, it will not give you not available. Just rectify that formula. You use the if error function to do that. If error function to do that. Just try. You edit that formula. You edit the, don't remove the formula. You have removed the formula, undo. Don't remove the formula, just edit the formula. Just edit the formula. It's sounding Greek here. Okay. Put a comma. Proceed. Proceed. The table array is this range of cells to be acted on. You have never used this function before? Okay. Don't worry. So this function was an extension of what we did earlier. Yeah, but we'll repeat you then. So select the match function. Then the lookup range is the subject to be typed here, comma. Then the lookup array. Lookup array is this cell that contains the subjects. So we select all those range of cells, then comma, then we select the search match. The brackets, then you finish up the VLOOKUP because it was not yet finished. Then you press enter. Now to remove that error, we said you add just using the if error function. How do you set this if error function? It's very easy to do that. You just modify the formula from the formula bar. You add the if error function here. Just say if error. If an error is displayed, then what should be done, comma, it should display a blank space. You just enclose that blank space in quotation marks, then you press the enter key. So when you do that, it will remove that error, and at all times, it will not display the error, whether you have the names or not. So that is the VLOOKUP function. So VLOOKUP is also applied in other cases of other applications. And I want to use another different application that you can use to run the VLOOKUP function. Maybe probably this one will be a bit easier for you to understand. We have this VLOOKUP. So suppose you are given data, you are given, read on. Is it read on? Suppose you are given such data. This data shows the members, the cities, and so on. And this is just a few records. But in the real world, you get companies with a lot of details. A lot of details about the sales, about the market data, about the products that they sell, about their customers. If it is a circle, it has so many details about their members, thousands and thousands of records. But now you want to search for a specific record without using the find command. If I was to use the find command to get the member ID 104, if I use to find, I can press Control F. It will bring that find function. But if I type here 104, it will really search for the member 104, and it will find where this member is. But it will not give you any other detail across the screen about that member. You only locate where this member is. And sometimes these records are so many, such that you can scroll, so many records. You know those worksheets, Yeah, I'll have one worksheet here, you see it. How sometimes it can be very tedious. So in this sense, then you can add that function we call the VLOOKUP, because it will help you search the records very easy. You can even create a space above here where you'll be using to look up the value. That is what you need is these column headings. You have the column headings above here, so that whenever you type the member ID here, it will display the member across the screen. So this is why you used to look up the values. So meaning that our formula will be entered here. So how will be the formula? We look up. So you start with the if function. Let's zoom a bit. So we'll start with the VLOOKUP and start equals to VLOOKUP. But before you copy a code, remember you have to make this range of cells absolute. That is, this range of cells here have to be absolute before you copy a code. That is, you press F4 going to cell absolute. That is both A4, G up to G18 have to be absolute. How you understand what we mean by this? Then press. Now you can copy this formula across the screen and to give you the values of that member, that specific member. That is three. That's part. That's what it means. So you can actually see the record across the screen. That means member ID 111, member ID 111, website setting. If you change this member, you type another ID, for example, 110. Then it will change across the screen. So it makes your work so easy. You don't have to go looking for those values, regardless of the number of records you have. Just type the ID here and it automatically checks the record across the screen. So that is still making your work easier, or we are making your work more difficult? Yes? More difficult. Do you have a flash disk? I can copy this data there for you, then you practice with it. Yes? Question? Okay, we removed absolute first. Yes, of course. Yeah, we must have a question like this. Yeah, so that we practice this data. Remember that when you are scrolling this data, so this is just an example of a bigger set of data like we have here. So this data, probably it goes up to 1,000 records, and you are looking for a specific record. So you have to scroll down looking for that record. So instead, you can freeze the cell. You can freeze this cell, this column, this row here. That is, from this row, you can freeze. How do you freeze? You can try this. You have the data. You can use this data that you have, that I want to freeze so that as I scroll up, it will not scroll here. So you click row number 3. Just click row number 3. Click row number 3. Are you there? Then under the review tab, that is the view tab, not the review tab. Just click on the view tab. You'll find that command called freeze. Freeze. You find the freeze? Yes, then you select freeze pane. Freeze pane. Just click freeze pane. So that means that as you scroll up, these will not change. These will not scroll up and down. You only scroll these parts. This one will not scroll. So that means in our data here, you do the same to the data. That when you have so many records, you have to freeze to the position that you don't want to change. So you don't want to change our values from here. So you select that row. It will freeze above. Then you select freeze pane. That means you'll be scrolling down. The number of 1,000 records you have will not change. Yeah, then you just search here. I want record number 115. And it will give you the record number 115 across the screen. So it makes your work so easy. You don't have to struggle. And you want to make your work even more easy. The next VLOOKUP function. Now we have run this VLOOKUP here, but we are forced to type the name of the student here. You type the name of the student, and you have to go and type again the name of the subject so that you get what? The results. So how do you make this one even easier? So these records are already in a list. So you can form a data validation list, because sometimes you make errors through typing. We want to avoid the errors that comes through typing. Then what do? This range of cells, you don't have to type them. Instead, we choose a list, or we make a list, a validation list. So you do this under the data command. Although you have a topic about data validation later, you will select data validation. You see data validation? Yeah, you can click there. Then you choose data validation. It will produce a dialog box. So this data validation box, specifically we use it to curb errors and to minimize the errors that comes during data entry. So instead of typing the list that is already in your worksheet, then you choose from a drop-down menu, So here, we'll command our computer to allow us to allow a list. So you select a list, allow a list. You select allow a list. Then under the scores, that is the source of, where is the source of our data? The source of our data is this range of cells from A3 up to A10. From A3 up to A10. That is the source of our data. Then you click OK. So once you do this, you will create a drop-down list here. A drop-down list will appear here. So once you click to select the name of the student, you don't have to struggle, but just to select the name. Without typing, you can choose the name. Then you do the same to the subjects. Just go and do the same to the subjects. Create a drop-down list that you will look for the subjects. A drop-down list that looks for the subject. Now you can choose the name and the subject by just scrolling down the list. Let me see here. Yes, are you okay? Yeah, so once you select, now I may have some challenges with the online student because I don't see their machines. Let me see what they are saying here. It seems like some of them are a bit behind. But we always repeat, don't worry, we'll do it again. So you can scroll down to get the values of this. You just need to select here. So to get these subjects, you insert data validation again, you click data validation, you allow a list, then under the source, you highlight the range of cells that have your subjects. You don't even need to start with the name, you can start from here. Then again, you click OK. So from here, you'll be able to select the subject and the name, and it automatically looks up the value in your worksheet. That is using a drop-down list. So the VLOOKUP function is one of the most powerful functions used to look up the values, in the worksheet. So I think that one is clear, but I will just have a small recap for the sake of those people who have already lost. So we said that the VLOOKUP function is the function that we use to look up values from the leftmost column, and we are able to get values across the screen. With the VLOOKUP, you will specify several things. One, you need to know the values of the leftmost column. You need to know what? So the values of the leftmost column is actually what is helping you to look up across. You cannot run the VLOOKUP function if the values is just in between here. Though later we'll see that there is a way you can look up values in between, maybe from the second or from that column. But in most cases, you always look up from the leftmost column. So that is the VLOOKUP function. We said that to enter this function, it is very, very easy. You just need to start with an equal sign, just like any other function. You start with an equal sign, then you type the VLOOKUP function, and it will prompt you a number of things. So whatever appears below here is what guides you. That what next? What next? What is active here? If you place your mouse pointer, you will see what is active. What is active is the lookup value. The lookup value, that is the cell you are looking up for. We are looking up for the name entered here, so that we can get its value of this particular subject. Then again, you put a comma. The table array is the range of cells, which we say that sometimes you can even name this range of cells. You can give it a name. And it makes it easier that way, actually, that if you select these cells and you give them a name, for example, we can call them, what do we call them? The score, test. These are test scores. So the name of our range of cells is test scores. So you press enter. That means anytime you are referring to this range, we will be using that name, test scores. So that is, you select VLOOKUP. Instead of using the absolute referencing, then using a name will be better, because anytime you are asked to give that table array, then you just type, and it should even pop up there that we are looking for the test scores. That is the range of cells. Then from there, you can proceed with the column index, which we said the subject, this subject here is supposed to give, you're supposed to give the value or the score of this subject, which is in column index 2. So you put there 2 to represent the column index. So then number 3, you have to specify the exact match. Then once you are through, it will give you the subject scores for this student here. If you change the name of the student, it will always change the scores. So that is how you run the VLOOKUP function. So I think that one is clear now. We are too fast. Yeah, could be you are too slow, but whichever the way, but I will still repeat. Oh, here you may set another range. Yeah, before I use this, you can use Usoma. You can select the range of cells and then you define what? A name. Yes, sasa hiyo jina ndio tumeweka hapo. Weka test scores. Sawa. Sawa hiyo. Sasa ukitumia pale utakuwa unatumia that name test score instead of the range of cells. So you select this, you put comma, you select the table array. You start with the lookup value. Then sasa table array hapo ndio utaandika test scores. Then the column index utaweka 2. Then from there you select and start. Then you close the bracket. So it's not difficult. It's very easy. So yes. So how do you remove the error? If the name is not presented, that is the name Tom is not here. It will give you an error. We said that you need to rectify that error. And the only way to rectify the error is use the if function. That is, you click on that cell, then you modify the formula through the formula bar. That is, you put the cursor just immediately before that formula bar. You type there if error, So if you're using an advanced Excel, like Office 2016, you have 2016, it will produce several. That is the advantage of having a higher version, which we said that we also install that higher version. That you'll find several, you'll find if error, if error, if not available, it will give you. So now, if you are using that one, now you use the specific if not available. Yeah, you select if error, then you put the comma, then you set up that you enclose the quotation marks. That means it should produce just a blank space. So if no name is provided, should always produce a blank space. So that is how you set up the if error function. So there is a function I wanted us to check here about the sum subtotals. Another very powerful function. Last time we did it, and some people are so much confused about it. Although kuna wengine walipata. Ulifanya hiyo, You are okay with that. The subtotal function. Yes. So probably maybe we'll check on that. Don't have this enough papers. Maybe I can get that question. Then we share together and we do it very fast. Let me copy this. Just a minute. We're going to learn about the subtotal function. Subtotal function. Are you typing data? Yes. So I'm just giving you, oh, it's not visible. Just giving you 5 minutes. Yes. If you had it, it's better. If you had that, but data is better. And just have it there. Then we'll be a bit fast to repeat about this subtotal function. So have you said the data? So for the online student, we say that you log in with your mobile phone and you use your computer to run the exercises. You log in with your mobile phone. Yes. Huh? And you there. derived from the data that has been created, and it has some repeated data, that is categories, and as we can see in our data set. Now, let's just open the data and do that function and see how you insert the function. A piece of data was like this, and we had these totals. So in that data set, you are told to calculate a number of things, including what? You are supposed to get the stock, that is the new price. I don't know whether you have done that. That is using just the normal formulas. This one we already did. You can open and perform the first few activities. The first activities say you enter the data, then using appropriate function and cell addresses only. What do you mean by cell addresses only? That cell addresses is one principle of entering formula. That is the rule of entering formula. That whenever you are entering formula in your worksheets, you should always use cell addresses, not cell values. That here we are supposed to multiply the price per item by quantity in stock. So you use the C3 multiplied by D3. And once you do that, you can copy down this formula in the worksheets and you actually get those values. So when you copy down the formula in the worksheets, you get the stock value, Now the new price, you are told to get the new price. And how do you get the new price? Assuming that each item is discounted 10%. That is discounted at 10%. Use the cell address, cell reference only to determine the new price of the item. How do you get the new price? I think you already did that. To get the new price, we are given the price discount down there. So that means the new price will be higher or lower? It will be lower. Yeah, because it is discounted price. And it is discounted by what? By 10%. So that means the new price will have to go lower by 10%. So how do you get that? You just take the price of the item, you multiply by what? Multiply by what? You multiply by this cell. That is 10%. But this cell have to be absolute. Remember that. How do you make that cell absolute? You press F4 on the keyboard. Then you do what else? Because that is the discount. So if this is the discount, you have to minus the price. You minus the discount. Yes? The price per item, price of the item minus what? Discount. That means this formula, you have to put a bracket here and another bracket. No, not here. It will be the other place. That is, you start with the price minus the discount. The price minus the discount. But you cannot leave the formula this way. Remember that. You can't leave the formula this way. Because when a formula have more than one sign, you must use BODMAS. The BODMAS says that you work with what is in the bracket first. So what do you enclose in brackets? What do you enclose in brackets? The discount. So you give the computer the function to calculate the discount first. Then once it gets the discount, it will minus the discount found from the price of the item. And by doing so, you get the new price. The new price here will be, this was the previous price, but when it is discounted, you'll get that price there. That is the new price of the item, the new price of the item. So I think that one is clear. Now, you are told to copy this data to the next worksheet. That is the data you have here. I think you're doing it in sheet 2. That is already copied. The previous data was in the first worksheet. Oh, it was in the first work. It's supposed to be in the first worksheet, eh? Yes, and you are told here to copy this data in sheet 2. No problem. Let's use the same data to calculate the subtotal. Before you get the subtotal, you have to sort these records either in ascending or descending order, so that you put categories at the same location. Here we have furnitures. You need to put furnitures together. So how do you sort the data? Sorting the data is very easy. What you need to do, make sure that you select the cell within your data. You have to click inside your data. You don't have to select your data. You just click just within the data. Because if your active cell is outside the data, then you click on the sort command. On the data menu, we have the sort command. Then it will give you a message on the screen. Eh? Yeah, that is, the command could not be completed because you have specified the range that is outside your data. So you have to make sure that, just make sure that you click inside the data. Then from there, you can click on the sort command, the sort command. So you want to sort by what? You want to sort by category. In which manner? Either ascending or descending. You can sort ascending, huh? Then click OK. So that is the first activity. You sort the data in the order ascending or in order descending. Sort by. Oh, you are getting that, huh? Yes, because you selected the data. You don't have to select the data. You don't have to select the data. Again, you merged so many cells here. Just need to merge up to here. So then you click data, sort the data. So sort by category. So, yes? Anybody with a problem? You sort the data in the order of ascending or descending. Once you select category. Once you sort the data, then you can now proceed running the subtotal function. In the same data menu, here towards the end, we have group, and we have subtotal. So we are starting with the simplest function, that is the subtotal. Because later we'll use ungroup. Eh? Yes. So how do you use this function, subtotal? It is very easy. You just click on that subtotal command. So you click subtotal, and it will produce this subtotal dialog box. Then you want to subtotal what? At each change in what? At each change in not item, in category. At each change in category, then do what? Sum. Do sum. Sum what down here? You are supposed to sum what? Is it the stock value or the price item value? The stock value. So we select, we remove new item price, so you can sum several. You don't have to sum one. You can even select stock value and new price item value and the price item value. So if you get the total sum of price per item, the stock value, and the new price per item. Are you together there? Down here, we have not choose anything so far, but later we can replace this with a page break so that every category is put on its own page. But when you have a lot of data, we don't have that much data here. Just click OK. And once you click OK, that function will automatically get the subtotals depending on the category. The first category was clothes. It will calculate the total for clothes, both stock, price per item, and this. Then the other one was furnitures. We have furnitures totals, and we have utensils totals. Then finally, to give us the grad total of the entire, that is the subtotal commands. And that is how the subtotal command works. So I think that one is clear now. I can see someone want to assistant on any desk. Okay, we'll log into your machine. Are you okay? Yes. What is the problem? Yeah, you have not calculated the new price. You see, this thing is really disturbing you. What is missing here? Something is missing there. The new price will be price minus y is 10%. You have not type everything. So I've noted some challenges here. We have several challenges with some people. If you have challenges in computing, that is, haukuwa umesoma computer hapo before, then you may have some challenges too in understanding the concept. Yes. Now, because here we are not doing it on a piece of paper, we are doing it on a computer. So that means you have to know how this system is working first, so that you can work with it. So to merge cells, to copy cells, to copy down the formulas, these are things that you're supposed to be now on your fingertips. Yeah, and I know that is another challenge with online students, especially. Some of them are just floating around. Why? Because if you have challenges with this, please try and come on the physical class. Because now this one can help you directly. Yeah, that is beyond it is beyond. Now, if you are struggling here to press Alt key behind there, I cannot see you struggling to press the Alt key, but I can see a student here in class struggling to do that, and we can assist. So, if you are to do it online, make sure that you already know Excel pure. You are not struggling anywhere. But if you can, if you have challenges, I always recommend just attend the class, physical class. It will be better for you. So otherwise, but for those people who have done Excel already, they know how some of these functions, how they work, and they will be okay to proceed. But you still have a makeup class. For those students online, you have another class, 2 more classes that we can be on the same page. So that is the subtotal command. So we say that to run the subtotal command, you have to sort the data first. That is a must. You have to sort the data first. That is, you must make sure that the data is sorted in specific order. That is, just click within your data, sort data. You can sort data by what? So when you're sorting the data, don't select this data. Don't highlight the data. Just click within the data. Then the computer will pick the data to be sorted. So here you can select. You can even select sort by column B, because you know column B is this one, it's category, and it will sort by that column. Then from there, you can select the subtotal command. Change in this function can be average, can be maximum, can be product, but in most cases is sum, because you are looking for total. So yes, then you can choose at every change in this, then sum the values of price item, sum the values of stock value, then sum the values of the new price, and it will automatically do that. So that is the subtotal command. Finally, when you get this, now you can produce this one as a report. Yeah, as a report. So that is, I think that one is clear. So the other function that we are going to check today, that is the last one, before I give you an assignment to do. That assignment, I'll send it in the group. You go and try. One assignment is for VLOOKUP, what you have just done. Maybe I can forward it right away. You have those exercises you can function. Exercise, it will be exercise 9 and 10. Exercise 9 and 10. Let me send that. I think I sent that. I sent those questions, that question paper, the group previously. You can re-forward again. Kama nilikuwa nimetuma, kuna wengine wako wamejoin the group. You can re-forward that. Just re-forward that exercise again. You re-forward. Do you have it there? It's not there. Let me check whether we can get it here. Yes, I hope you have saved that work. Now, the other thing I want us to check is about conditional formatting, although it has several functions in it, that when you are formatting your worksheet, we have gone through the basic functions in Excel. Maybe in our next session, to answer the advanced functions in Excel. So whatever we have been doing so far is just basics. That is basic Excel. That when you go through basic Excel, you should be able to do all that. So for the sake of maybe those who are not there in class, we started from the functions here, and we said that we can classify functions in two. We have statistical functions. These are just functions that we use to run descriptive analysis, like average, sum, maximum, minimum. And we have done most of this, apart from standard deviation and variance, that you come to visit later when you'll be dealing with now data analysis functions. We have data analysis functions. Yes, like those functions you did, like regression, correlation. Those functions are still used in Excel, and we'll still use standard deviation and variance there. So the other function we checked, and maybe just a small reminder of one of the functions that I think it is very necessary to know, the count function. We say that count function has several functions and a count. That when do you use the count function? When you have values in your worksheets, probably you can have some values here. Just open a new worksheet and type these values. Then in between the values, we are going to enter some text. Like here we can have text. Can have text double A. And here, sorry, what is happening? It should type. Then in between these numbers, we have blank cells. In between these numbers, we have text. So there are certain situations whereby you find your data, maybe because of some missing values, were left just blank, and some include the numbers and text. So that is our data. This data consists of data in the form of text and data in the form of numbers. And it also consists of blank cells. That is our data here. It consists of blank cells. We are supposed to use the count function to look for values here. So I will copy this data. Now, some of the processes I copy paste. I've seen a problem with some people. They don't know how to copy paste. How do we help these guys? So you just copy, and in Excel to paste, you don't have to just press enter key. It will paste that data. So you can copy in those 3 columns. And down here, we are going to count. We are going to count this data. I hope those guys online just enter that data very fast. And we want to count using the 3 count functions. We just did only 1 count function. What about the others? Because we have count A, we have count blank, and you also have count if. Count if we did. Yeah. So how do you run these count functions? Count will help you to count the values or the cells that has numbers. That is the function count. That is what we stated here, that the count function will only count the number of cells that contain values within a certain prescribed range of cells. If a cell is on a number or it has text, it is not counted. So how does this function work? We just insert the function directly. So here we will click insert function, and then we look for the function counts. So you can search the function here, counts. Then you select go. So it you provide count and count decount. We have count and decount A. So here we have count function. So if you use count function, then you click OK. You select the range of cells to be acted on. We are counting from here to here. Then OK. It will give you how many cells? Umepata how many cells? It should get several cells, ndio? Yes, it should only count the cells that has values. A cell with the text is not counted. So the cells with text and with blank cells are not counted. They are not counted. So that is count function. So the next function is count A. Count A is supposed to count everything except the blank cells. When you count A, then it means you count all data except those blank cells. You can search the function count A. Click go. The function you count the number of cells in the range of cells that are not empty. Cells that are not empty. So here, the same data will result to how many cells? It will result to 10 cells. So 10 cells are found. So that means we have other cells that are blank. How do you get those cells that are blank? Because sometimes certain data will require you to count the blank cells. So to count the blank cells, you have to use the function count blank. So you search for that function, count blank. This is one word. So you type count blank, count. This one will count the blank. So you type this one word, not two words. And these you to count the number of cells that are empty. So here you select the range of cells. It will give you those cells that are empty. And you get 2 cells that are empty. That is the count function. So we did count if, and maybe probably if you are online, you never attended that class, then we'll have a makeup class for those functions again. So that is the count function. So other function that we have already come across, we did set count A, count blank. Then after this, we did logical functions. These are a function that requires you to set up some Boolean expressions. A Boolean expression is an expression that shows the values true or false. They respond to Boolean expression that shows true or false. One of the functions we did under the logical function is if function. And if function, we did both simple if and nested if functions. So we did a number of exercises about the simple if function. And we also did one exercise about the nested if function. So that is the function we call logical function. We did sum if. The sum if will help us to sum, but not to sum everything. You only sum when there is a condition. There is a student who was asking, when do you know when to use the sum if and the sum? When do you use sum? You use sum when you don't have any condition. You are summing everything given. But if you are given a condition, then you have to include the sum if function so that you can specify the condition first that determine the cells to be added together. Yeah. Yes. Then we also did average if and count if. So the only function you have not covered yet is the and the or functions. And we'll do this one in our next lesson. We'll do the or and the and function. That is under the logical function. And the last function was the VLOOKUP, which was the last function under the basic Excel. So Yes, if you are not maybe you are not very sure about this function, maybe you can always ask the question. I will give you more exercises so that at least you'll be okay with those functions. So kwa hivyo in our next lesson tutakuja kuanza something inaitwa analysis toolpack, eh? And that is where now we will start now analysis using Excel, eh? Analysis using Excel. Question. Yes. Right away. I'm sending right away. The notes, I have seen those guys who are asking. These notes I'm sending for a group, huh? But there is a connection problem here with my machine. I will send it up for a group together with the exercises. Eh? Yes, together with the exercises. So that with your next class, you'll get those exercises. So today we are going to sum up the makeup classes. The online. We'll have a makeup class. I think it will be communicated to you because right now we are a bit close up with the time, but we always have this class on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8. Then the other class is on Thursday morning, early morning class. Thursday, early morning class. We have a class here, data analytics. Eh? It is online. So Thursday or early morning class online. Yes? Yes, it is Wednesday and Thursday 6 to 8 jioni. Sawa? Haija change. Sawa? Yes. But kuna class on Thursday early morning. Sawa? Yes, lakini hiyo is purely online. So kwa hivyo don't come here on morning classes. Yes, kwa hivyo if uko online and you have